A little bit more about the domestic issues. A look at how President Obama is proposing to tackle the rising cost of college. Here's the president speaking at the State University of Buffalo yesterday.
The fact is that we've been spending more money on prisons, less money on college. And meanwhile, not enough colleges have been working to figure out how do we control costs, how do we cut back on costs. So all this sticks it to students, sticks it to families, but also taxpayers end up paying a bigger price.
Tim Carney is a senior political columnist for the Washington Examiner, and he joins us now with more. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So the centerpiece of President Obama's education plan was a proposed new rating system. It would allow prospective students to evaluate which schools provide the best educational bang for the buck. Congress, in turn, would then tie student aid to value. It's being called the name and shame list, amongst other things. Does it sound like more government intervention and oversight to you? And is that the best way, more government intervention, to lower college costs?
Well, government intervention has driven up college costs. Subsidizing student loans has made it so that students and their parents are not as price sensitive. In other words, they're willing to pay more because the government gets behind them, but then that leads to the situation where these schools end up being four-year resorts. Oh, fancy dorms, great athletic center, but the money's not going to instruction. So Obama sees his government caused problem and responds with more government intervention. That seems to me exactly the wrong course to take.
Yeah, it was estimated in the 2011-2012 school year alone, the academic year, 93% of all student loans were issued by the government. Now, some other proposals in his idea called for, rewarding schools that maximize the use of technology in education, as well as easing the burden of student loans for recent graduates by capping loan payments at 10% of their income. Is there anything in the plan that you see that you like?
There's definitely some positive reforms that he talks about there, which includes moving towards online education, or, hey, maybe these credit hours shouldn't be everything. And as the White House put it, it's not the amount of time you spend in the classroom that matters, but how much you learn that can work towards your degrees. These are great ideas, but here's the problem. This isn't the federal government's business. Why is Washington trying to hand down these rules? We know the problem. We know what will happen is that it will get politicized. That's why we don't want Washington telling these schools and rating these schools.
Come on, they never politicize anything in Washington. All right, Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.